What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I wanted to break down what's going on with NIO stock as we have important Chinese numbers that just came out for registrations. I'll talk about what's going on with the overall market moving forward as we have important data coming out, what's happening for tomorrow, what you should be watching for on NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, and the QQQ. But before I break things down, this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks, and the offer ends in just 3 days. Anyways, for NIO, we actually have resistance around this 4.5 area just above our 20 EMA. If we break through this, we'll be looking for a nice push. If we end up losing support at this 4.3 area, we're going to be looking for a dip all the way back down to the low fours. We watch to see how things end up developing from here. But overall, NIO on the 4 hours is actually building some strength right here. We're trying to base, but the question is what's going to affect this? So one big catalyst is coming out in just a few weeks as NIO has its registrations data coming out already. But later on, we also have the deliveries numbers coming out for June in just about like 13 days from now. So that's going to be very, very big. And so far, the numbers for June are looking pretty good. Now, they are down a bit compared to the previous week. We had about 3,400 deliveries or new insurance registrations. I'm going to actually go down that route for the second week of June. That's down 2.86% from the 3,500 we got the previous week. So currently the numbers are looking pretty decent, at least for June, but we need a big push to happen for the second half, especially as we approach the final week. That's when we tend to see a lot more deliveries because of the fact that the numbers improve approaching the end of the quarter. So we actually have about 20,500 deliveries for May, surpassing the July 2023 record of 20,400. So that's actually up about 234%. So now we're basically expecting between 17,800 to about 19,800 deliveries for June. And currently we're only at about, I think looking at it how we currently are, we're only at about like 6,000. So we have to do another at least like 10, 11,000 for the last 2 weeks. So could NIO do that? It's possible. We actually saw something similar happen in May. So we're gonna be looking for a big increase in deliveries for this to really continue. So far, not too bad from NIO. For earnings, this is what the calendar looks like. There's not really much going on for the week. And just know, guys, that for tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday. The stock market is going to be closed. The futures market will be open, but of course, the overall market, the New York Stock Exchange, equities, and individual tickers will not be trading because of Juneteenth. That's a very important holiday in the US. So we have a holiday. There's not going to be trading for Wednesday. Market's going to be closed. But going back to Thursday, we have more housing data and initial jobless claims. Excuse me, I'll talk more about that later. As the market is pumping, we're seeing fear making up the main emotion right now. We're still seeing fear making up, despite that the market's still continuing to push, and momentum is still very, very greedy, despite the fact that investors have more fear. So it's very, very ironic seeing it kind of developing this way. This is also because of the fact that the puts and call option positioning is kind of flat. We're still at these extreme greeds. And then also the market volatility is also kind of dipping a little bit. You guys can see it right over here. Volatility is quite neutral, so we'll have to see how this shifts as well. But overall, not too bad. As far as NIO goes, we also have the all-new luxury 6-seat SUV, the EL8, the smart, safe, and sustainable EL8 is now available in Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, and Sweden for the first time. Not to mention Norway. So that's actually some good news for NIO. And also, NIO is beginning to prep for Innovation Day of 2024. That's going to be very useful as we have a lot of developments coming there as well. So we're going to be looking for new updates on the new NIO phone. What else are they going to be incorporating? What are they going to be telling us about their new systems, and also what expansions are going to be making to their different Pilot Plus system covering highways and urban roads. So that's something else that's worth noting. The NIO phone, the first gen, is also going to be looked at. So I can't wait to see what else is kind of like announced about that. That's going to be very important. Moving forward, with this big improvement that's going to be made, I can't wait to see what NIO announces. So with Innovation Day coming, we'll be listening very carefully to what they end up announcing. On top of all of this, the price-price ratio is also still down a bit because of the fact that there's still some sellers out there in the markets, and NIO is looking relatively weak still. Wednesdays, well, Wednesday doesn't matter. It's not really trading. Thursdays tend to be weaker days, at least for the end of the week. There's not really much else that's going on right here. And also volume is only at 29 million. So unfortunately for NIO, we're getting very, very dry volume. We're just kind of trading sideways within a range, not really doing a whole lot. So watch resistance around this 4.5 area. If we break this, I'll be looking for 4.7. If not, we're just kind of going to continue to shuffle. So I think the most likely possibility is NIO shuffles for a bit, but then we'll be watching to see if we get a big catalyst try to push back up to 4.7. So far, there's a chance NIO will try to rebound a bit, but overall, like I said, we're still just trading sideways. So we have to give this some time. I think we're just going to continue to trade sideways between 4.3 and 4.5 for some time before we see a big move. So watch for some more sideways price action. For SPY, we had a green day today. We actually managed to push up towards the resistance around 548.5, but we haven't been able to break that yet. If we go a little higher, we could get closer to about 550, but be very careful as we approach these resistance levels. Although there is a bullish wedge that's forming, I just want to say that right now for SPY, resistance is getting tighter and tighter the higher we go. So it is looking more bullish. It could go a little higher. It's still possible. Go a little bit higher towards 550 before we see a rejection. I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. So look for a little bit more of a push. We could be pushing up towards $549, but then we'll see if we reject there or not. But I think between 549 and 550, things will get tighter. I want to be very careful at this psychological level. That's going to be key for SPY. So watch to see how it reacts. For Tesla, we're kind of range bound between the 20 and 50 EMAs. Tesla is kind of trading sideways. I think we might come back down to the 50, retest 183, and just trade sideways towards 185 and 183 for some time. We'll have to see if we could break one of these directions for a much bigger move. Otherwise, Tesla's kind of stuck for a bit. We do have a double top leg structure, but we'll have to see if Tesla could try to, try to bounce from here. This could be forming also like a cup and handle, but we might continue to kind of, trade sideways, maybe dip a little bit before the handle ends up forming. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully. So I think that what's going to happen is Tesla might just kind of range trade for a bit, remain low for some time before it slowly uptrends. So I'll give it some time and we'll have to see how things end up moving, at least moving forward. For Nvda, we're continuing to push, but there's a big bearish divergence that's developing, and we are at some tough resistance. The higher we go into the 130s, the tougher resistance is getting. So I think that we have resistance around 136 and support at 135. If we lose 135, we'll be looking for a dip. We might push a little bit higher towards the 136.5 plus area for another all-time high before we see a move back down. And I think Nvidia will eventually come back down to 134 to retest the breakout. So look for a little breakout, then a little bit of a dip. That's the most likely possibility. Bitcoin has been dipping a bit towards 64,000. I was trying to rebound. If we break past 64,800, I'm going to be looking for a move all the way up to 65,000 plus. The trend is bearish on Bitcoin, but there could be a temporary bounce coming. So I'm going to be looking for that going into the next few days. For a few more, like the QQQ, the QQQ is also looking a little bit weaker. It did dip a bit. Now it's just kind of consolidating. So it's looking weaker than SPY, forming a double top. Right, we have this nice double top like structure that's been developing. And I think that if we end up losing 484, excuse me, 484, then we'll be dipping all the way down towards the lower 480s. So I'll be watching for that. We're just kind of shuffling for now, but there's going to be a risk of downside as we're looking weaker than that of SPY. For a few more, we also have, let me just double check this. Aapl. Apple's also dipping a little bit, starting a bit of a downtrend. We also have a double top that's been forming on Aapl as well. So we established a lower high relative to this high, so this could be a start of a downtrend. If we end up losing 212.5, look for a bigger dip. My gut tells me this is kind of resembling like a head and shoulders, so there might be a dip coming to 212. If we lose that, look for a move all the way down to 210, so I do favor that a little bit more. Besides that, that's all I'm really seeing for now. Coinbase is looking a little bit weaker. We're at key support. We're approaching it. Might go a little lower towards 234. We'll see if it bounces there or not, but it could be dipping more. For Amazon's also kind of dipping a little bit. We have kind of like a head and shoulders like structure. If we end up losing support around 181, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down here towards 180. So I do see a risk of that potentially happening. If we break past 184, we're going to be looking for a bounce, but I do see a little bit of downside potential. For Meta's also looking a little bit more bearish as we have a head and shoulders. If we end up losing support currently at around 495, I do see a dip coming. I think it might retest this, so it's looking kind of weak. So look for a little rebound towards 502, then a move back down towards 494 as the most likely possibilities. The memes like AMC and GameStop are looking very lackluster. GameStop's just trading sideways, may continue to do so under 25, and then AMC may do the same thing around 4.8 for the time being. I think there could be a dip coming to about 4.7, so I'll be watching for that. And that's pretty much all I'm seeing, at least for the time being. So With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely incredible day. Just remember that the stock market is going to be closed for tomorrow, but I'll still give you guys a very important update about the markets anyways. And just know that for the registration numbers, NIO needs a very, very strong final 2 weeks of June to get their deliveries up to meet their targets. So we'll see how things go for them. I'm very optimistic. So let's, keep our heads up, give NIO the time it needs, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you for listening, guys, and peace out.